Hi, I want to welcome you back to Prison Professors. My name is Michael Santos, and today I am going to read section number 11 of this book, Prison, My 8,344th Day. It's a typical day in an ongoing journey. We are reading this book in various sections so that we can send them into jails and prisons across America with hopes of helping people inside understand how and why the decisions they are making today relate to what they are going to become in the weeks, months, years, and decades ahead. I went to prison in August of 1987. I was in prison for 9,500 days. This is my 8,344th day that I'm reading about, and it's showing how to make the importance of making disciplined, deliberate decisions that relate to the success, not as I define success, but as you define success. Now, in the show notes below, we not only include the text, but we also include links to the earlier episodes 1 through 10. So I'm reading this as I go, kind of updating it now that I've been out of prison I got out of prison in August of 2013. So this gives me a little bit more insight than when I wrote the book by hand inside of a federal prison. But ultimately, the message is the onus is on you to prepare for success as you define success. And we're going to learn more about that as now that we turn to section number 11 of this book. And I'm going to use my simple little system here to start reading. So follow along. Prison, my 8,344th day of the Straight A Guide. This is section 11. The face of my Timex Ironman watch tells me it's 11:17 a.m. I finish eating the rice, beans, and tuna, put the bowl on the steel table, grab my water bottle, and walk out of the cubicle. Before resuming my work, I walk into the Spanish TV room to tell David that I have left the cubicle. He assures me that he will straighten things out before returning to his job assignment. The quiet room is empty. Intending to make progress on the manuscript for young people who grapple with the criminal justice system, I sit down and begin to write. With this project, I am trying to reach people between 12 and 18. Their sanctions may require them to live apart from family in youth centers, alternatives to incarceration programs, or juvenile prisons. I collaborated with Justin Paperny, a friend I met in prison, to launch this project. After his release, Justin took the initiative to establish a nonprofit organization, providing a mechanism to raise resources from sponsors. By raising money, we could create and distribute learning materials for people who live in custody. I share the same strategies leaders taught me in the books and courses. Now, this new manuscript will become part of the coursework that Justin's foundation will distribute. Justin graduated from the University of Southern California in 1997, and then he went on to build a lucrative career as a stockbroker. However, 10 years into his career, he made decisions that violated securities laws, resulting in criminal charges against him. We met and became close friends during the year that he served at the Taft Federal Prison Camp. While we were together, I described my hopes of using what I have learned through the decades of imprisonment to teach others. Justin offered to work with me. Upon his release, he really came through by assembling the team of professionals necessary to launch the nonprofit foundation. As an IRS-approved nonprofit, the foundation raised financial resources from corporations, individuals, and philanthropic organizations. We spread this message of self-reliance, personal responsibility, and the need to prepare for success while crossing through fires of adversity. We're looking forward to producing and distributing courses to help justice-impacted people prepare for success. All the books and courses I write show how people can empower themselves by the decisions they make while in prison. They can develop skills while serving time. If a person learns to develop a vocabulary, write coherently, and speak persuasively, the person will open new opportunities. I have used that strategy during my adjustment, and I intend to continue using it when I get out. People that live in jails and prisons need hope. Despite individual circumstances that put them in the grips of the criminal justice system, they need examples to show that they have the power to make positive changes and bring meaning to their lives. I anticipate that readers will identify with my story. I began serving a lengthy prison term during my early 20s and opened opportunities while serving decades inside. People find hope in that story. In the manuscript that I am working on now, I strive to show those readers the strategies that I use to empower and enrich my life. I'm calling the manuscript the Straight A Guide. Each A in the Straight A Guide represents a word that I use to show readers how to prepare for success. I believe in the strategy because it works for me, and I document what I am doing every day. Participants see that I am not asking them to do anything that I am not doing. At the start of my journey, I didn't refer to the strategy as the Straight A Guide, but it has helped me since 1987 when I was a 23-year-old man facing a sentence of life without parole. I don't delude myself with assumptions that I am breaking new ground by writing the Straight A Guide. From the start of the written word, leaders have documented the importance of living a values-based, goal-oriented life. I put the lessons into the context of my lengthy prison journey. Perhaps everyone knows the path to success, yet it's one thing to know the way, and it's another thing to walk the way. Those who achieve what they set out to achieve, wherever they are, abide by the strategy. In prison, some people choose negative adjustments, some choose positive adjustments, and some meander along, going positive one day and hostile the next. For example, some men put a high emphasis on building reputations as fearless or super criminals. They act accordingly. Other people want to impress staff members. They pursue certificates by participating in programs that have minimal meaning beyond prison boundaries. Then, they fight for space in a television room or cut in lines. I find that to be contradictory to a pathway to success, and I strive to succeed upon release every day. Everything I think, say, and do aligns with that commitment. I don't care about a prison reputation. I am indifferent to staff perceptions. The pursuit of success upon release drives me in every decision. Early in my term, a correctional officer passed me a book that changed how I think. The story profiled Socrates, a philosopher that lived during ancient Greek times. While locked in a jail cell, he awaited his execution. Instead of crying about his punishment, Socrates thought about the best way to add value to the lives of others. In Earning Freedom, I wrote extensively about how the story of Socrates influenced my early adjustment. Socrates taught me how to think differently. The book made all the differences in my life. Since reading the book about Socrates, I have read about many leaders. I noticed a pattern in the way that they make decisions. They follow a strategy, taking clearly defined steps toward a well-articulated goal. By reading about individuals who achieve, people who become the best in the world at what they do, I have become convinced that success isn't random and it doesn't come by accident. People who commit to success make deliberate choices. The level of success they achieve correlates directly to their choices. Those pursuing success know where they stand and they know where they want to go. Understanding their strengths and weaknesses, leaders perceive both opportunities and threats. All that knowledge gives direction with the understanding that 2 points exist, a start and a finish. Successful people want to cross from one point to another, and they act accordingly, measuring incremental progress along the way. People who achieve greatness in any domain are deliberate. Bill Gates, for example, said that he envisioned a computer on every desktop and home. His pursuit of that goal became the spirit that drove Microsoft. Jack Welch, the former chairman of General Electric, said that his business decisions began with the premise that all GE businesses had to be number one or number two in the market, or he would exit the business. It's not only business leaders who adhere to this strategy of deliberate purpose. Elite athletes and musicians commit to excellence by practicing their craft every day. If they miss a single day of practice, they can tell the difference. If they miss 2 days of training, critics can tell the difference. If they miss 3 days of practice, fans can tell the difference. From what I have read, Every person who achieves high levels of success follows a deliberate strategy, and I learn from studying them. People that live in prison and others who struggle through adversity may appreciate a guide from someone who walks the path every day. Because prisons extinguish hope. Although numerous stories describe the difficulty and failure that awaits people upon release, scant literature shows examples of success after prison. I have not found much information on preparing for success from prison. Too many men who surrender years or decades to the system live with misperceptions that they're only serving time and there isn't anything they can do about it. I am writing the Straight A Guide to show the possibilities that open for people that make deliberate choices. We live with an institutional mantra that pounds people with reverberating negative messages. Maybe you've heard them. You've got nothing coming. I intend to produce coursework to undermine that message. A deliberate adjustment strategy made all the difference in my life, despite the 22 years, 10 months, and 4 days that I have been in prison thus far. I'll continue following the Straight A Guide for the final 3+ years or 2 years. I don't even know how long I'm scheduled to serve. Since I believe in the power of making deliberate decisions, I will stick with the strategy for the rest of my life. Writing a self-help manuscript doesn't come easily to me. None of my writing skills have come easily. My writing skills were poor when I began serving my term. Despite the 2 degrees I earned, I never had the privilege of studying writing in a classroom with a professor and other writing students around me. But many mentors have helped me through correspondence. Well, the Straight A Guide begins with 2 prerequisites, which I've written about extensively. First, a person must define success. Given the situation at hand, what is the best possible outcome? If a person can respond to that question, he can advance to the next lesson in the Straight A Guide. That means he can set clear goals to bridge the gap from struggle to success. Early in my journey, I defined success clearly. Regardless of how long I served, I didn't want the prison term to represent my life. I intended to live with my dignity intact, confident that I would succeed in society. If I succeeded, I would be able to walk into any room and no one would know that I served a day in prison unless I told them. I wanted to create an income stream around my journey rather than live with a shame because of my prison term or the bad decisions that brought me inside. Since I could define success clearly, I could advance to the second prerequisite of the Straight A Guide. I could set clear goals. Those goals would require me to earn a university degree, become a published author, and build a robust support network. If I could execute those 3 goals, I believed that I would have a far better chance of success upon release. I could embark upon the Straight A Guide with those 2 prerequisites. I looked forward to writing the remainder of the course's lessons. During my late morning and early afternoon writing session yesterday, I wrote about attitude. Attitude represents the first A of the Straight A Guide. In writing about attitude, I try to show my readers why all success begins with an attitude of success. Anyone can say that he wants to succeed, and in my experience, every person in prison does say that he wants to succeed. But statistics show that 7 out of every 10 people who leave prison fail when they get back to society. Those who succeed make different decisions from those who never get beyond saying that they want to succeed. People who succeed have an attitude of self-reliance. It doesn't mean they don't have help along the way, but they always work to help themselves. They recognize that they cannot count on outside forces to usher in success. External forces may present obstacles. A person with the right attitude can still make the right decisions that advance those incrementally toward the goals they want to achieve. Today, I am writing about the second A of the Straight A Guide, aspire. Those striving to succeed, aspire to something meaningful. They have clear ideas of what they want, and they can envision themselves achieving those aspirations. Aspirations provide the reasons for all their commitments, the work they create, and the pursuit that brings meaning to their lives. People who succeed do not set vague aspirations. Instead, they know exactly what they're after because clearly defined aspirations give them the purpose. People who achieve don't simply say they will be very successful. That vague statement has no meaning, and it is typical of people who say but never do. Those who achieve Those who achieve clearly define their aspirations. Bill Gates, for example, didn't aspire to build a successful computer company. He said that he would put a computer on every desk and every house. Jack Welch aspired to hold the number 1 or number 2 positions in the marketplace for every GE company. He didn't aspire to ensure all GE businesses were successful. Success requires more than vague, fuzzy statements that no one can measure. To further illustrate my interpretations of what it means to aspire, I am writing about the aspirations that guided my decisions throughout my term. I aspired to succeed upon release, but such a vague aspiration wouldn't sustain my focus through a quarter century of prison. What did success mean? I had to define it. Success meant positioning myself to ensure I would have the skills, resources, support network, and fitness to emerge as a contributing citizen. Still not specific enough. What did skills, resources, support network, and fitness mean? I had to define each. Skills. Well, skills meant that I had to earn academic credentials that people in society would respect. I had a clearly defined aspiration to earn an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree during my first decade of imprisonment. Resources. I aspired to assure that I would have enough money in the bank to meet all my expenses during my first year of liberty when I concluded my term. And just to be specific, that meant I wanted to have $100,000 in savings the day that I walked out of prison. Support network. I aspired to earn respect, trust, and support from at least 10 law-abiding citizens who would support my transition into society when I concluded my sentence. Fitness level. I aspired to keep my weight within a 10-pound range throughout my prison term, within 5 pounds higher or lower than my high school graduation weight of 172. That meant I could never be higher than 177 pounds, and I'd probably never be lower than 167 pounds. In pursuing those clearly defined aspirations, I built meaning in my life, a reason for every decision I made and a guide that I could consult to make the right decisions. All decisions would work together to advance me incrementally toward my aspirations. Achieving those aspirations, I believed, would put me in a much stronger position to succeed once I got out. And I'm measuring success as I defined it. When I finish writing the section on aspiration, I will write about the third A of the Straight A Guide, and that's action. That section describes how aspirations lead to actions. Following actions, I will write about awareness, accountability, authenticity, achievement, and finally, appreciation. I began this manuscript intending to write 25 pages every week. By adhering to that schedule, my outline suggests that I can complete the manuscript of about 30,000 words well before the end of August. That schedule pushes me to write at least 4 pages every day. But I'm not going to reach that goal today. This strategy of tackling big projects in bite-sized pieces has helped me throughout the journey. It is continuing to help me now. I am confident that my habits as a prisoner will translate into success upon release. Now, as I like to do, I'm going to ask you a few questions. How are you defining success in your life? Write a response to that question and think about the people who will read your response. Then figure out how are you going to back it up. If that's how you define success, what does it mean to back it up? And that leads to the second question. What goals will bridge your gap from adversity to prosperity? And then the third question, in what ways are you measuring progress toward your goals? Now you can see I'm not asking you to do anything that I didn't do. I documented all of my time in prison because I believed that when I came home, I would have an opportunity to sit across the table from potential stakeholders that may have a vested interest in helping me to achieve success. And that opened income opportunities. That opened opportunities for me to build my network, for me to develop new businesses that didn't have anything to do with my journey in prison, but they had everything to do with the decisions that I made while I was in prison. You see, some people will say that I was lucky, and I will say, yeah, I was lucky to be able to serve 26 years in prison. But what really made it lucky is I was able to learn from leaders like Socrates and Viktor Frankl and Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and so many others, and all of them taught me how to live deliberately. And that's what I am striving to teach the participants in our course. Learn to make decisions that align with how you define success. And if you do that, you will put yourself in a far better position to overcome the collateral consequences that make life so difficult for so many people who go through prison. So I am Michael Santos, and on behalf of our entire team at Prison Professors, I want to thank you for working through the program of Prison, my 8,344th day. We just heard section 11. You can get links to the other earlier sections just by visiting our website at prisonprofessors.com or on iTunes or wherever you get your content. If you're in a jail or a prison, I hope that you're getting all of these in sequence, and I hope that you go through them in order, but you also answer the questions so that you are sowing your own seeds for the success that I know you can become. My name is Michael Santos. On behalf of our entire team at Prison Professors, I want you to know that I believe in you, and I'm only sharing the strategies that leaders taught me. Thanks so much for being a part of our program. If you're outside, please do subscribe to the program on YouTube or iTunes or wherever you get your content. And if you have questions or comments, leave them for us, and I'll do my best to respond. Thanks.